In the last chapter, we created a complex model family design. In this chapter, we're going to look at a complex annotation family. I'm often asked how to create a key plan in a project. The first techniques that folks usually try is to create a new view at a very small scale and then add that view to the sheets. The trouble with that approach is you can only add a view to one sheet at a time. So if your project has many views and many plan sheets, you're going to end up having to duplicate that key plan several times, and that becomes pretty unwieldy as a solution. The solution I prefer is an entirely different approach. So in this movie, this complex annotation family that we're going to create is actually going to be a key plan symbol. Now, to work from here, I've just sort of created a really simple project file here. So we're looking at a sheet 101, and let's just take a look here. What else we've got? We've got sheets 101 through 105, and these represent the sections of the floor plan. So over here in the project browser, this A101 that we're looking at is looking at Zone A. And if I just sort of back this out a little bit and uncrop it for a moment, you can kind of see the overall footprint. So all I did was put the outline of a building here, but you can see where the match lines are. There's several match lines, and we end up with 5 zones in this floor plan because at the scale, at 1/8" scale, they would not fit on one sheet, obviously. So each of those has been set up in the various floor plans here, and what we need is a little key plan here to say what zone we're in. So to get myself started, I have created a temporary key plan view here that I called Key Plan Temp, and this is set at 1 to 200 scale. Now, if I went to the floor plan and actually drag this view on here, this would be the approach that a lot of folks initially want to try here. You'll see that it's about the right size for a key plan, but again, the trouble is I can't add that to more than one view. So I would have to duplicate it, and like we said, that gets a little bit tiresome. What we're going to do instead is I'm going to trace over this result, but we're going to make sure that we do it right here in the sheet. And this is important because Revit will not let you copy geometry between a project and a family as a rule. But if you trace it in the sheet, you can overcome this and copy and paste from the sheet to the annotation family. If you try to do it directly in the view, it's not going to work. So that's why we're going to make sure that we're doing it here. So I'm going to go to Annotate and click on Detail Line. And it's a little tough to get it. It won't snap, but you can get it close. And again, it's a key plan, so you don't have to be perfect here. You just have to be close enough so that it actually represents the true shape of the building. Now, this might bother some folks, and if that's the case, then you might want to try another technique. But unfortunately, there's no way that I can snap this directly. So the only one that I was off a little bit is right here. So I'm just going to nudge that over a little bit with the arrow key. This one is perhaps slightly off. I'm going to have to zoom in a little to get that to nudge. There we go. That'll do the trick. And then I want to also draw some detail lines for the match lines. So we'll put one here, out here, and it doesn't really matter how long these are. So if I pull them out here, it's a little easier to keep them from trying to snap to the line work that I've already drawn. Sometimes you have to zoom in to do that. So once I have those lines drawn, I want to surround all that stuff. And you want to be careful. You saw that I was trying to find a spot where I could click. If you click here and you drag, it's going to move your viewport. So if you drag from right to left, it's going to create a crossing window and you're going to get the viewport. So I want to do a selection this way so that I only get the detail lines, okay? And I'm going to copy those to my clipboard. So the next thing I'm going to do is go to New Family. Actually, I'll do New Annotation Symbol. You could do New Family, and that would take you to the generic families folder, and then you could go into the annotations folder. If you do New Annotation Symbol, it takes you right into the annotations folder. So you can get there either way. I want to create this as a generic annotation. I'm going to click Open, and this just gives me a blank page here. And you get the standard note that's telling you a little bit about this family. And I'm going to do Control-V and just sort of paste this thing in. Now again, if you had created that geometry directly in the view, Revit would have generated an error message saying you can't paste between project and family. So that's why we did it that way. That's why we drew the stuff in the sheet view first. Where you want the insertion point here is really up to you. If you want it in the middle of the building, then I can take this stuff and I can kind of center it in the middle of the building. If I want maybe down at the end of the building, it really depends on what you think is more convenient to insert this by. So if I want to do it that way, that's fine too. Really doesn't matter so much. This is a symbol now that we're creating, so the precision level of a symbol isn't quite as high as the precision level of model geometry. Let me go ahead and delete this note. And that gives us our basic building shape to start from. So we'll leave it there for now, and in the next movie we will begin creating our key plan family from this basic geometry.